On this video, I'm going to talk a bit about some health breakthroughs. I have a publication that was sent to me, probably because I'm involved in a lot of health and vitamins and mineral publications and trying to find out information and doing research. Well, this is produced from the editors of Bottom Line Incorporated, and they can be found at a town called Boone, Iowa. I'm sure it's a great community. Health breakthroughs I've seen several times. I'm not doing this video as promoting them. Certainly I have no vested interest in them. But there are things that are uncovered over the years that have just been hidden. And while you may not be able to do a lot with watching or the information from this video directly, you might be able to do something indirectly. The article starts off with how Harvard scientists triggered a diabetic epidemic. It says renegade doctors discover smoking gun documents hidden in secret medical archives. Now, if this sounds a bit close to Roswell, New Mexico, and Project 51 or whatever, there's a possibility that what we're talking about here has a lot of value. And I can't guarantee it one way or the other. But one of the things it does do is it gives us some information, some things that we might be able to uncover and maybe do some more research. Or go back to this organization, see what else we can do. It's up to you. I'm going to follow this through at some point in the near future. I'm currently trying to get my first book published, starting on my second book. I've got it outlined, and thinking about going back to do my master's degree in cyber security. So I've been quite busy for a while, but I still not abandon all these research projects. Anyway, give you a little bit of background on this particular article that I'm doing right now. The question comes from them: have you ever wondered why so many people over 50 have diabetes? After all, not so long ago, type 2 diabetes was almost unheard of. But today, 1 in 3 Americans suffer from the disease. Now, I had no indication of diabetes for 79 years, thereabouts. All of a sudden, I had a mass on my pancreas and had to have a surgery. I won't go into those details. But I came out of it because the mass was on the pancreas that I was diagnosed also with diabetes too. Now the surgeon and the oncologist and some of the others I went through said I was in great help and had good prospect of beating the cancer and just having it go away. Right now it's dormant and there's no sign of it, but in a couple more months I'll have some more testing and find out. But it also indicated that my diabetes too might go away because of never having it before. But back to the article. If you ask most doctors why diabetes is so common today, They simply shrug their shoulders and blame obesity, poor diet, or genetics. Well, I can't say that none of those three had an effect on me, but for 79 years they didn't. It was primarily because of this mass on the pancreas. But this group found a dusty box of 51-year-old documents buried in the archives of Harvard University, and it revealed a shocking fact. The real culprit behind today's deadly diabetes epidemic is a single scientific study from 1967. 1967 is a banner year for me. It's the year I graduated from Indiana University with a degree in quantitative business analysis. Well, the article says, let me explain. It's not me saying this. It's the article. You see, in the early 1960s, researchers were racing to discover why so many people were dropping dead from heart attacks. At the time, most scientific evidence pointed to sugar, not saturated fats or cholesterol as the culprit. The sugar industry knew the facts about sugar and heart disease would sink sales and cost them millions. Okay, again, something that was after the almighty dollar. And people will do strange things. They have no, well, I shouldn't say no. They have little feeling for some people who might be affected drastically by some of the things they do for money. Well, so anyway, the sugar industry came up with a plan to protect their bottom line profits. A plan that would derail scientific progress for the next 5 decades. In 1965, the Sugar Research Foundation paid 3 Harvard scientists $6,500, which in today's money is about $48,000. So you can see today's money, 65 is not necessarily all that much. It's still a decent amount of money, but 48,000 is quite a bit more. And their job, these scientists, were to prove sugar was harmless and point the blame to saturated fat instead. Did you ever think this was a dedicated scientific, whatever you want to call it, mystery that was downgraded, disguised, hidden, whatever? These scientists were among the most respected nutrition experts in the world. Dr. Frederick Stare was the chairman of Harvard's Department of Nutrition. Dr. Mark Hegstead was a scientific advisor for the USDA. And Dr. Robert McGandy was a pioneer in dietary research. Now, this publication comes out and names these people. Big Sugar. Sometimes today they call them Big Pharma, because if they can't sell their prescriptions for a lot of money, and you know prescriptions can be very costly, our current administration and president has done some things to lower them and is doing some more. And we just need to back that up and get prescriptions down to, okay, so the people who produce them make a reasonable profit, but that we who have to take these things, if we do have to take them, we're not paying an arm and a leg for them. So the Big Sugar ordered They're Harvard lapdogs to refute our distractors. And that's exactly what the scientists did, using methods that could kindly be described as dishonest. For example, long-term human studies proving sugar causes deadly arterial plaques were dismissed as being too dissimilar for real life. Keep in mind, human trials are the gold standard of scientific proof. What do you think they're talking about today? Finding a vaccine for this deadly coronavirus. Human trials. Scientific tests. That's the only way you can prove them. Well, another study they found proved eating less sugar and more veggies lowered heart attack risk. But it was discounted because that dietary change is just not feasible, they said. Yet another study showed heart disease skyrocketed when subjects ate a high-carb diet. And Harvard experts claim such diets are rarely consumed. Okay, so in 1967, they had a study that was not true. It was published in the prestigious New England Journal of Medicine. So sometimes these publications, especially in the past, you have to understand who is sponsoring them. Like who sponsors bill in our Congress? And I'm not getting into politics on this one. I'm just making a statement. You just got to know who is doing what and for what purpose. Harvard experts' status gave the study instant credibility in this, New England Journal of Medicine. And so this study delayed scientific consensus on sugar and heart disease for decades, said Dr. Staniel Glantz, the University of California. Probably a good guy. In fact, this single study disrupted scientific research for 50 years, the one that was put under wraps, one I mentioned back in the 60s and 65. And the results were devastating. You see, thanks to this one study, well-meaning doctors push patients to adopt low-fat, high-carb diets that many nutrition now blame for America's obesity crisis. Now, sometimes people will say diabetes is affected by high sugar. And that's true. But a lot of prominent, well-established, with good education, dietitians really say that you should be watching carbohydrates in your food. Sugar, too, especially if you happen to come across something that rarely will have a lot of sugar but very little carbs. It's usually not ever happen. Usually your carbs are higher than what the sugar content is, and that's why you need to watch the carbs. Well, the USDA urged Americans to trade butter for trans fat-laden margarines. Well, today most of us eat 30 pounds of artery-clogging, poisonous, fat-laden margarines every year. Actually, what we found out later is these margarines are even worse than true butter. Now, of course, you can overdo everything. It's in the same category of all the diet sodas and things that are out there in diet forms. All of the chemicals that are in there. or the decaffeinated chemicals that go in to make something decaffeinated. Now, some people just cannot consume caffeine. We understand that. But if you've not been diagnosed with eliminating or reducing drastically caffeine, boy, you probably are doing yourself a disservice by drinking decaf things and all the chemicals go in it. Well, to continue with this article, the USDA urged Americans to continue with some of these things that were not proven to be healthful, but were substitutes, like I mentioned, the trans fat-laden margarine or the dietary sodas or whatever. Healthy, low-fat foods loaded with hidden sugars exploded in popularity. And it says, no wonder U.S. sugar consumption has tripled, along with big sugar profits. Big sugar is the same for big pharma. In other words, the pharmaceutical group. Now, you may be for some of the political group that promoted big pharma back in the early 90s under the Clinton organization. And again, this is not to downgrade Clinton at all. You may love him. He did some good things. But Hillary was after and promoted big pharma. And there is a widespread article out now indicating that we should be glad that big pharma didn't have total control. They still had control, but not total. Well, over the last 4 decades, type 2 diabetes has skyrocketed. In 1980, only about 1 in 50 Americans had problem blood sugar. Today, as I said earlier, is 1 in 3. By the year 2050, that number is probably going to rise to 1 in 2. Those numbers are shocking, but the death toll from diabetes epidemic is truly mind-boggling. You see, high blood sugar kills about 3.2 million every single year. That's right, 3.2 million. That rivals heart disease, somewhat in cancer. Although I understand, I don't have the facts in front of me. Heard something recently that accidents, car accidents, and all those kinds of accidents actually kill more people than any one of these diseases do. Not combined, but just any one. Well, over the 50-year period since the Harvard sugar study, that's 158 million deaths, more than the population of the United Kingdom, France, and Australia combined. Now, what did this study back in the 60s do to us? It killed a lot of people. It was ugly. 27 medical myths, lies, and mistakes that can kill you have been permeated over the years. That's 1,485 hush-up breakthroughs that can save your life that are no longer there. Well, this publication called Health Breakthroughs is trying to get to the bottom of it. Now, are all the things they're talking about absolutely true and can be backed up? I'm not trying to claim that one way or the other. What I am saying is there are some studies that you can find out were true and some of the results. And you can verify that those results were hidden for 50 years or so. Well, Dr. Allison's breakthrough is just one of the potential life-saving secrets you'll find in this special report. Talked about Dr. Allison earlier. He's one that has written this article, and he is noted for trying to get to the bottom of a lot of these bad problems. And it's probably wise if you go to Health Breakthroughs in Bottom Line Publications, find out more about him. Don't take one person's word or one article or whatever. Never do that. Today, this article says, I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying it now, the article's saying it, I'm going to tell you about common medical myths, lies, and mistakes that can kill you. One is a simple heart attack test. Most doctors ignore. And it gives you this test on one of the pages in this publication. Well, I can't get into all these things. You hear about bona fide medical miracles, true breakthroughs from today's top research, for an example. On page 10, you hear about a strange rubber band trick. Can reverse type 2 diabetes in 90 minutes. Now that seems a little bit far-fetched, doesn't it? Well, to understand it and to see if it's got any validity, you might want to get this publication and see. I'm going to look into it further. As I said, I've got a lot of things now that I'm working on that taking a little bit of priority, but I'm going to get back to it. On page 4, you discover how a common winter bug can trigger permanent memory loss. And it tells you what you do to protect yourself. Then on page 7 of this publication, you get the inside scoop on a new no-surgery joint replacement. It's got the surgeons fuming. Why not? They no longer can operate. You get it done without an operation. And it goes on from there, many others. And I just pointed this out because I wanted to tell you about this study that claims that it put a cure of diabetes 2 in a black book hidden for 50 years. Now it's starting to come out, and you can find it in this thing. And all kinds of other breakthroughs. I just advise you, if nothing else, go to Bottom Line. I'm going to give you the address. It's Bottom Line Incorporated, Post Office Box 37948. And you probably can find a street address and the research facility there. But they use the post office so that they can get a lot of publications and work through it probably easier. And it's in Boone, Iowa, 50037. Pause this video, get the address, or go to this email address. It's Bottom Line Incorporated, Bottom Line INC period, not the full incorporated word, .com/health2020. Pretty easy. Send them an email. Get some information. I've got one working. I'm going to get more. Get rid of kidney stones without drugs, it says. Page 14. I hope this has triggered you to be interested enough to understand some things that can benefit you. Like I've done in a lot of my videos recently, if you've watched them, is that I'm trying to bring out some things that I'm encouraging you to do more research on. Just like I've done pretty much my adult life for the last 40 plus years. And I've gotten a lot of good information. Am I a doctor? No. Probably I know more about health minerals, vitamins, and those kinds of treatments than many doctors. Now, not the things they prescribe for certain ailments. And I'm not saying that by any means. At one point, I thought about trying to become a doctor years and years ago, but didn't do it. At 80, I still have a real good head of hair. It's all turned white. But if I'd have tried to do something else besides what I pursued, which was an Air Force career and working for Procter & Gamble in the business quantitative analysis and computer field, and doing things with websites and all kinds of things like that, I probably would have lost all my hair. Even chemotherapy didn't take my hair away. I had 10 bouts over 22 weeks, and I still have all my hair. I say that only because I want to encourage you to take me at my word to do some research, not to believe everything I say face value, but do some research for your own benefit. I'm a Christian, and I always want to close with, may God bless you and find a way to keep you well for the years that you have ahead.